Hey guys, let me play with this a minute here and make sure it's working. Y'all give me a 5x5. As soon as it comes up, let me know. Is it on? Is it working? There it comes. Thank all of you guys for coming in. I do appreciate it. I'm trying some new stuff up here tonight, so let me know how it goes. Oh, let's see who all we got in here. Wendy, Youper, Fun. I got your box over here, Fun. KP, Jan, Youper, Tony, Bug Out. There's quite a few of you guys in here tonight. You're hearing a rebound. A reverb. Is that any better? Y'all let me know if that echo got any better. I'll see if I got something else running here that I don't know about. Yep, better. Thank you, Youper. Perfect. Well, guys, I really just wanted to come on here and chit-chat with y'all a little bit. So much goings on in the world. I don't want it to be too doomy and gloomy tonight, but in all honesty, it's just the reality that we live in. But even a conspiracy theorist like myself, some of the conspiracies out there are just getting even beyond conspiracy theorist believable. So much everywhere in the world, where to begin, what to talk about, where to start. I've got this set up to where hopefully I can keep up with the chat a little more, but I'll probably be running behind. Alexandra's going to kick it off there with the new variant. I suppose most of us have heard about that by now. Let's just discuss that for a minute. We're all aware, lived through, most of us, the prior COVID problems. And it went so good for them that they're going to bring it back around again. Whatever it may be, you know, the first big thing that comes to mind are the people that are going to comply and the people that are not. And a lot of people, you know, want to come out and say there's no compliance, we're not going to comply, don't comply this time, don't go with the, you know, the group, stand up this time. And my personal belief, the way that this is going to go, and it may or may not unfold this time this way, but as time progresses, remember guys, they are in this thing for the long haul. Years and years and years of planning they have into this thing. And we've all heard Joey say, you know, there's not going to be any exemption this time. Everybody's got to get it. He's gotten the extra money. It doesn't matter if you've got it before, blah, blah, blah. They are not going to have to physically force any of us to take this. simply by restriction and regulation, they will get most people to comply. We already know 50, 60% of the people are going to agree and go ahead and take it. And just like last time, as they apply the pressure, many more people are going to take it. Except this time around, they can be more forceful and more restrictive. And you can't have a bank account if you don't get it. Let's say you can't get a driver's license if you don't get it. Let's say your medical insurance coverage is going to go by the wayside if you don't get it. We've all seen the jobs, how they're going to push that. And it doesn't really matter if it's federal mandates or not, guys, because many of the people in the private sector that own these businesses are going to go along with that program. And being private, they can pretty much force you if they want to. So you're suggesting that you are basically going to opt out and not comply is totally fine. I'm going to do the same thing. But are you prepared for the repercussions of not complying this time? Because not being able to go and get your groceries or buy fuel or have a bank account or drive, all of those restrictions could come into play. I mean, none of us believed what they were going to do last time, and look what they pulled out. So the ability for them to be able to get the most of us to take this new variant vaccine, whatever you want to call it, is very plausible and possible. The majority of people are going to take it. If you look up the statistics on how many people worldwide have already taken it, I think we're floating somewhere around 75 or 80% have had at least one shot. So, with Joey coming out saying, nobody's going to get by at this time, everybody's got to have it, blah, blah, blah. How far are they willing to push that? How hard are they willing to push it? How many people are really going to go along with it when the real restrictions come in on it, when they start enforcing it? And again, it's just like the guns, guys. They don't have to physically come take your guns. Simply by signing of the pen, they make you a felon overnight. So with all these crazy COVID restrictions coming in, any of that is plausible and possible to me. We've all heard of the new IDs, whether it be a digital ID or a vaccine ID, passport. Those rabbit holes branch off in 100 different directions once you even start talking about COVID and mandates and vaccines and all of that kind of stuff. But I think the restrictions are going to come back, and they're definitely going to try and push it on us. The question becomes is how much are you going to be able to withstand? Hey Chuck, thanks for coming in. Is it real? Well, there is definitely something going on. What is it? I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. But take into consideration for a minute, guys, on this first original pass they made at us with this thing, the fatality rate was like 0.001%. And there are many things out there floating around now with fatality rates, going on 20 and 30%. And you can go down that rabbit hole as much as you want with the engineering of said viruses. Call it what you want in the Wuhan lab, they're definitely working with these things and around these things. And that's one thing that has kind of always stuck in my mind about this is, if they really wanted to get rid of the population, if there was a population control aspect of things, they already have the capability to take us out. Now, is it an ethnicity-based virus where they can say, white people, black people, Asian people, Muslim people, whatever you want to say. Is our technology that good or not? I have no idea, but just the fact that they're talking about it means they're probably working on it. It's just, how many new variants have we seen? How many different vaccines and boosters have they made? How many billions and trillions of dollars have exchanged hands during all of this? Yeah, fake vax cards, religious exemptions. Of course, Joey says none of that is going to be good this time around, so it doesn't matter if you've had it or not. Hey, RP, how's it going, man? I'm trying to keep up with the chat, guys, but the new variant, I'm sure there is one out there. I mean, most of y'all probably have seen or heard. My family is over in Europe right now, and it's supposed to be running pretty strong over there, and hasn't said anything about restrictions or masks or anything like that going on over there. But we've heard it's around, it's coming, and most of us would assume that they are probably going to try it again with something else. The big thing is going to be the compliance, guys. Hold out as long as you can. Yeah, Chuck, technology today, the way they got stuff going today, it would not surprise me. I mean, I've heard that they can get down to a very specific certain person. I was actually watching some videos about Putin, them assassinating him and being able to develop a virus basically that they could release that would find a very specific person. It would not be beyond me at this point that they had that technology available. What else, guys? What else is, how about Hawaii? The bad thing about Hawaii that I don't like, other than the whole thing going on, and again, I don't want to step on toes here and hurt people's feelings, but the focus right now is Hawaii. And in my personal belief, I think yet again, just another distraction. Because, we have heard here for the past couple of weeks all about Hawaii and Maui and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's just the latest distraction. Did we all forget about what was happening in Ohio? What happened to all those people? It just fell out of the news, onto the next 5-minute news cycle. What else has been going on in the U.S.? What about the fires in Canada? I mean, how much attention does that garner? The official death toll in Hawaii, I think the government is up to 115, somewhere around in there, just over 100. And yet the schools are reporting thousands of children missing. I wouldn't doubt that one bit. Yes, Jan, I have seen and heard these stories about the blue, whatever you want to call it. I personally do not believe, with my experience, whether it be in industrial or the military, my knowledge of lasers and things like that, the first thing that I would say to the people that are on the directed energy weapon conspiracies is, if you'll do your research, the military does not develop laser weapons for the human eye to see, okay? The light waves, infrared waves that the military uses on 99% of their weaponry is not visible to the human eye. So these fake videos that you see coming in of the DEW lasers coming in from outer space or from the 747, believe what you want. I can't, without a doubt, tell you that they are not real. I know for a fact that the new weapons are real. They are mounted on airplanes. They are mounted on satellites. Even back in the 80s when Reagan was talking about Star Wars, I'm sure even by then the technology was very well developed. But again, the technology is not made of lasers for the human eye to see. That's just not a parameter that they need for the laser to work. Many of them are in infrared. And the human eye, nor photography, standard photography video equipment is going to pick that up. So the beams that you see coming from outer space or wherever, I have no faith or belief in any of that being real. I also don't think that our government needs to use that technology to accomplish the fires that we are seeing being set. In my mind, there are thousands and thousands of people out there willing to do their evil bidding for them without using this technology. You need look no further than YouTube to verify the fact that there are a bazillion crazy people out there willing to do crazy things because they think the idea will better, their agenda. And it's easy to convince these people to do things. And it would not be hard to get 20 people together or 15 people together to make a plan to say, hey, y'all go drive 100 miles apart, spill out your 5 gallons of diesel, and at 10 o'clock this morning, we're gonna light a fire. I mean, it is really that simple, guys. Occam's razor does apply to most of this stuff that people are driving up all of these conspiracy theories about. You just really don't need it. It's very simple to get most of this stuff accomplished. Even the wildfires that were raging all started hundreds of miles apart in Canada. I mean, a group of well-coordinated guys can get that done for a few $100. I mean, in a day's time. You don't need all of this weaponry, laser, stuff to accomplish these conspiracy theories. I mean, it sounds good and looks good, and it makes for a great short on YouTube and TikTok, and these photo editors get lots of hits and oohs and ahs and get to spread the theory. Hey Tech T, I'm glad to see you stop by in here. Is Ken in here? Hey Ken. Yeah, Fawn, it's difficult to believe anything anymore that you even see with your own eyes. I mean, we have all seen the technology, the AI technology. They only need a few photos of you and a couple of words of your voice, and they can pretty much duplicate all of that. They can put you in anywhere doing anything. I've already heard a bunch of the Hollywood people are upset because, they are magically appearing in pornos. All they need is a couple of pictures and your voice, and they can, overlay you into any video that they need. Robbing a bank, making a porno, building a bomb, blowing something up. I mean, the technology is there to get it done today. So, believing what you see with your eyes is not necessarily the best thing to do anymore. I mean, it wasn't but, a couple of months ago, and we actually had the US government come out and tell us there were aliens, and they might have alien technology. And that lasted in the news cycle about 5 minutes. I mean, how crazy can the world be that the government comes out and tells you there's probably UFOs, and it lasts in the news cycle for 5 minutes? On to the next one. I think this is the same thing that's going to happen with the Hawaii deal. Obviously, we have the big hurricane rolling into Florida, And for the next few weeks, most of the coverage is going to be on that Florida event. And Hawaii will get kind of pushed out of the news just like everything else. Everything does, guys. That's just the thing. You know, nobody remembers what's going on. There is so much going on. What was it, last week? The Japanese announced they were going to be releasing all of the Fukushima water, you know, into the Pacific Ocean. Like, it hasn't been going in there this whole time for the past 12 years anyway, but now they're going to release a massive amount. Does anybody remember the Fukushima accident? I mean, what happened to the people in Chernobyl? What happened to the 250,000 people that were killed from that tsunami? I mean, there are catastrophes happening every day, basically. And Hawaii was just the next one. I mean, I do feel sorry for those people that lost loved ones and houses and possessions and all of that kind of good stuff, but you know, we still have to deal with life here daily in our own life. And tomorrow, there's going to be a new catastrophe in Florida. They have been doing so much stuff for so long, Tony. It is beyond the scope that most of us can comprehend. They have been doing this longer than most any of us have been alive. I would probably bet there is no one in this chat room alive that was here when it all started. You know, 1911, 1913, a long time ago. And we all forget those things when they set up the Federal Reserve, when they began to rob us, the American people. I heard Southern Prepper One talking about it the other day. We are up to $100 million an hour in our debt. That's how fast America is going into debt. $100 million an hour. And if you haven't caught on by now, folks, our debt cannot be repaid. It is physically impossible to pay that money, okay? The rest of the world is catching on to that. It's exactly why they are developing this BRICS. And that's not something new. They've been doing it for 20 years, all right? These countries are aware of how corrupt our government is, all right? And we, the people here, are gonna stand up and do nothing. Absolutely nothing. That has been proven to me, personally, over the last 75, 80 years. Again, I'll probably step on a few toes here, and I know there are probably some military people in the chat here, and I don't want y'all guys to take this the wrong way, but it's kind of hard to say and explain, but to all of our military veterans, active enlisted people, I have the most upheld respect for you. For anybody that is willing to go and sign their name on the line and give the ultimate price, their life, sacrifice, you know, family, all the stuff that comes when you sign up for the military, and travel to some foreign land because your government tells you to, all right? I have the most utmost respect for those people that are willing to stand on that line for what they believe is a good cause. But I have a lot of military friends that have straight up told me, you know, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have never signed up. I would have never went. I wouldn't have did the things that they asked me to do. I actually talked to one of them today, and he told me that very thing. And don't get me wrong, you know, I know the military is great for a lot of people. It's an option for a lot of people that don't have other options. It can give you great skills that you can use throughout your life. And like I said, I respect those people. But the people that are in charge of our military, the ones giving orders, I don't respect those people. And I think we have been given several good examples of those people, the people at the highest level in our military. You know, and I did not serve, don't get me wrong. But I think the people of this country, the Americans, the citizens, probably expected the military, someone from the military, to step in at some point long ago. Because after all, the people in the military did take an oath. And I know most of them probably took it pretty serious. So to protect this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, why has nobody stood up? Hey, Ark Living, good to see you, man. Why has nobody stood up? Why has nobody in the military taken control? Stopped what is happening to the American people, to the world, in all honesty. Because we're America. I mean, the world used to kind of revolve around us. As an American, you would go to a foreign country, you got a little respect because you were American. People wanted to come to America. America was a good place. You could live your dream. You could have things. You could own things. And that's not the case today. Why hasn't someone stood up? Southern Prepper One asked the question last week on one of his videos. How come out of all of these veterans and patriots, you know, good, great American citizens, 300 million of us, how come no one has stood up and done something for the betterment of society? I mean, I think in other countries and other religions, they call them martyrs. Is it not worth anyone's existence to stand up and do something? As an American, I thought that's the oath the military took. All enemies, foreign and domestic. I think we have some domestic ones. How can you not look at what's going on and say the people in control are not against the American people, against the Constitution? These people don't even operate by the Constitution. Type a 1 in the chat down here if you think that this is pretty much our Constitution and our country is a religious-based, Christian-based concept. You think these people in control are Christian-based? Do you think they follow God? Do you think they follow good morality? These people that are in control don't even have the same belief as you. And you expect them to follow the law of our Constitution? You know, the one that God is supposed to give us these rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. It's just crazy. I mean, how can you expect it to be follow the rules when the people that make the rules don't even follow the rules? Look at any aspect of it. Gun control. The people in charge want to provide you gun control while being protected by guns. So it's rules for thee and not for me. What has happened over the last few months with the Hunter thing, the Biden thing? You want to know why I know nothing is going to come out of that Hunter Biden laptop story, blah, blah, blah? Because the whole time that all of this has been going on, including Trump and Biden, they've had the Hillary laptop. You know, the one that Weiner got caught with? They've had all that for years and years and years. And whatever happened to that laptop, guys? Whatever came of that? Who went to jail? What was ever exposed? Absolutely nothing. You see, it's hard to get anything done, guys, when the people that are in control run all of these agencies, all right? You saw that with Trump. I'll be the first one to admit it to you. In the beginning, I had faith in Trump. He was a businessman. I thought that was probably the best thing that this country could have at the time. Would be an outsider, a businessman, to come in and take control. And what did they do to Trump? He was railroaded. He was cut off at every corner. There were Fifth Circuit judges, you know, that were stopping his executive orders, that were stopping laws, that were, you know, basically the leader of the free world was shut down by the First and Second courts, circuit courts, Fifth Circuit Court. You know, they didn't like what he did. They went to some court somewhere, got some judge to hammer down, and, you know, nothing happened. Do you think it would be any different this time around? I don't personally. That's why I don't hold any faith in any politician. Let me ask y'all this, and there are probably some Q Trump supporters in the chat here. How many we got in here? 36, 37 people. Type a 1 in the chat if you had heard anything about Q before Trump was president. Had any of you heard anything about Q before Trump became president? Now let's not go down the rabbit hole with Trump is Q and blah, 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 all this. But before Trump, did you hear anything about Q, the white hats, the black hats, you know, all this shenanigan going on? What did y'all hear? I didn't hear anything about Q before Trump was president. I'd like to see what y'all heard, because I want to go back and research it. But let's not dwell on that fact. The fact that I want to dwell on with that is, and I'm not a Q follower. I don't believe in none of it. And the biggest reason I don't want to believe in any of it is because since there was Q and the black hat, white hat controversy, fighting back and forth, saving the kids in the tunnels, deep underground bunkers, blah, 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 blah. How many millions of innocent people have died while the white hats and the black hats fuck around? Tell me. How many millions? So while these jackasses play their games and drop their hints and play with your mind, millions of people die. Thousands every day. While these people play games with your heads. Because you want to believe there's some group out there that's dropping hints, and the black hats are going to take out the white hats, and they're fighting in underground tunnels in Hawaii. Bullshit. Go ask them millions of dead people if they believe in Q and white hats and black hats. Okay? Absolutely nothing is happening to these people, folks? Absolutely nothing. You look at what the Clintons have done, you look at what the Bidens have done, you look at what Obama has done, you look at what Trump has done. You know, we only need to go back that far because that's what, 20 years? Bushes, let's throw them in there. 25 years? Oh, none of y'all remember what happened 25 years ago. You forget, you go, you move on. You got life, you got bills to pay, you got things to deal with. You can't keep up with all of the corruption and despair that those 5 people I just listed on my hand have created in this world. Just think of the destruction, despair, murder, killing, destruction to our environment. I mean, just think about those 5 people, what they have done. What do we do as the people? You're going to run down here and elect another one of them in a year and a half. They're lined up to elect another one. It's crazy, guys. It blows my mind. I just don't know where common sense and logical thinking has gone. It is insane. Yeah, fun. It's always great to have some hope and belief in something, but as a moral person, it just really gets on my nerves. The amount of killing that goes on, murdering, raping, pillaging, kidnapping, slavery, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's all upset about these, the kids. And I'm totally upset about it too. But what is being done? Everybody's talking about it, but who has gone to jail? I was watching JW earlier. He's in the chat here talking about the EBS system, the emergency broadcast system. I remember years ago, I think Trump was president, didn't they have some kind of EBS nuclear missile warning, fake hack, something going on in Hawaii years and years ago? So this EBS deal is not new. And what is going to happen? October 4th, I've heard it probably at least 10 times that they are going to initiate the EBS system and send the text message to everybody's phone and let them know the white hats are in control and the good people are winning and blah, blah, blah. You know how many EBS broadcasts I've gotten on my phone? 0. Let me ask you this. So October 4th comes along and there is an EBS, and Lord knows it could be anything. A meteor is coming, an earthquake, the water is contaminated. It could be a million things. What is that going to change for you on October 4th that you shouldn't already be doing today? If you are concerned about the world and you see what's going on, that broadcast on October 4th is going to make no difference to you whatsoever. And that is the problem with most people today, is you're not going to do anything until it affects you directly and right up in your face. I don't think there will be an EBS broadcast on October the 4th. Just like the other 10 that they said was going to come and never did. For me, I understand the disaster situation. I worked in disaster for many, many, many years. That's what I retired from. I know exactly what the people in Florida are fixing to face. And as many of y'all have seen disasters in our country unfold, just like Hawaii. And when we say Hawaii, it is a very small area of Hawaii, okay? just like what is fixing to happen in Florida. You have a very massive outcrying of danger and help and aid and evacuations and all of this stuff. And it is for a very specific area of Florida. Now that area is going to be devastated. People are going to die. People are going to lose lots of stuff. But it is a very localized event. You can drive 100 miles either direction and get your McDonald's, get your hair cut, go shopping at the mall. The USPS will run as normal. Checks are in the mail. Everything is all good. I have worked those localized disasters for over 15 years. Complete towns utterly devastated. Not a single building left standing. Miles of devastation. Very localized event. I can tell you guys, if there is an event that is going to happen, that is going to affect our whole nation, I believe in all of my heart, our government will not give us a warning. Do you realize the mass panic it would set off if an emergency broadcast system was broadcast to every cell phone in the United States? What could they possibly tell you? Anything that is going to be bad news is going to set off major chaos and panic. And if it's an event that big that is going to affect the entire United States, there is probably not a lot that you can do about it anyway. It's just going to be too big. What else do we got, guys? Hey, Ark Wild Man, thanks for coming in. I said I was going to keep up with the chat, and I did not. So let me get caught up back up on it here. Black Bear, I didn't see you come in there. What are y'all guys talking about? Give me something here. What, the whole Russia-Ukraine war thing? I told y'all 6 months ago that was only going to get worse. Hey, Barb, how's it going? It is. I mean, that front is only going to get worse. I watched a deal today about the making of the ammunition to 155 millimeter artillery rounds. They got our production facility full blast, 24/7. Every day, pumping them out as fast as they can. They're making 11,000 of them a month. Hey, Bonnie, how's it going? 11,000 155 millimeter artillery shells. 11,000 a month. Anybody got an idea of how many they are using daily in Ukraine? Throw it in the chat. How many 155 millimeter artillery rounds are they using every day in Ukraine? Now, granted, this is the same government that is pushing the new Green Deal on you, okay? They're taking your stoves, they're taking your generators, they're taking your ceiling fans, they're taking your incandescent light bulbs. You know, they're taking all of this stuff away from you, your cars, you know, all of this green movement. We've got to save the planet. How big do you think the carbon footprint is of the American military overseas? Let's not count here. Let's just say overseas. How big is the carbon footprint of our military? What's the carbon footprint of those? The number I heard was 7,000 of those 155 millimeter shells. They are launching daily. And that's just NATO. That's just us. That's what we are launching at Russia. That's not what they are launching at us. And of course, that doesn't include missiles and grenades and hand-to-hand combat and tanks and the trillions of dollars of military hardware roaming around overseas. How big is that carbon footprint? Do you think our government is concerned about that? How much research and technology is going into converting all of our military tanks and ships and airplanes and everything the military uses over to electric? I never have seen an electric M1 Abrams tank. Last I checked, that F-22 wasn't electric. I don't think there's very many electric helicopters. And I don't think those missiles are electric either. So do you really think the government gives a shit about the condition of our planet or going green? It is simply a money exchange, okay? Y'all notice when Trump was in there, it was all about hydrocarbons and drill, baby, drill, right? And now that you got Biden in there, it's all about green technology and solar. How many billions and trillions of dollars is our government giving to these corporations? It's an exchange of wealth, an exchange of money. They are taking it from you and giving it to themselves. Who heard the other day, yesterday? Congress gave itself a 36% raise. Was it 36 or 32? I forget now. But Congress gave itself a raise the other day. Is there a single person out of 37 people in the chat room that got a 32% raise in the last week? Yeah, Majak, they are keeping up with inflation. Do you think those people represent you in any shape, form, or fashion whatsoever? Not at all. Do you think a guy, any guy, a guy that can sell his house to his son for $445 million can relate to you any way possible? You think that's possible? You think a guy that craps on a gold toilet can relate to you? In my mind, guys, the way the government works is we the people see the government, okay? Those are the puppets that are put in front of you for you to express your opinions to. Above the government, okay, and this is where it gets convoluted in shady, gray, black areas. People want to use those terms, they, deep state, shadow government, them, those people, black cats, you know. You got the government there. And then controlling the government are people. They're people that you don't really see too much. They may be in the spotlight occasionally. They are not in the position that, you know, they are really in, but they are above the government and they give orders to the government. Above those people are corporations, big business. Okay, these are the people, things that run our government in our country. And those corporations are worldwide. Okay, that's how big they get. And when you boil it all down, guys, really, just take the food. There are probably less than 50 corporations that control the entire food supply. Okay? So you got the government, you got people, you got corporations. Well, above the corporation, you got more people, bigger people, more elite people, richer people. The ones that control the corporations. Okay? Well, above those people, you have the BlackRocks, the investment firms, the Vanguards, the big hitters. Okay? We all know people like, corporations like BlackRock, investment firms like BlackRock own thousands and thousands of other companies, investments, land, entities. Okay? Above those entities, you have more people. More elitist, more rich people. They control the strings of those corporations. And those corporations control the strings of the people below them that control those corporations, that control those other people that pay off and bribe and blackmail your government. Okay, so that's how the deep state, shadow government, corporation, ladder tier system works. And all of those people in government and above government, the laws don't apply, basically. So if you want to know how that tiered system works and who is in control, go look at the people that control BlackRock and Vanguard, okay? Those are the people that control your life, your government. And they don't have to have their finger directly in the government to control it, guys. Again, restriction and regulation. If there are only 50 corporations that control all of your food supply, I mean from the milk to the Oreo cookies to the macaroni and cheese, all right? Think about the big companies that control that stuff. Kraft, all right? Who else you got? Procter & Gamble, all right? You can name them, you know who they are. I mean, 4 or 5 big ones right off of the top, big corporations. Look at Procter & Gamble. How many products does Procter & Gamble make? Hundreds and hundreds. So if the guy, and there is generally one ruling person over a large corporation, even though it may have a board made up of investors and other people. You don't have to get all that far into it. But the head guy that's controlling the shots up there, all right, of Procter & Gamble, wants to add mRNA vaccine virus to the food. Who is going to stop him? Does he have to convince the shareholders? Does he have to convince the employees on the line? No, not really. All they got to do is put it in there. How do you think it is already in there, guys? We've all heard the reports of it being in the meat, in the chicken, in the products, in the food that you're already eating. These corporations have agreed to that, and they're doing it. You're not going to have this anymore. They can get it into you so many other ways. I've heard you can't go to the hospital and take a shot that it is not in the shot. If you go get a tetanus shot, COVID vaccine's in it. You go get any shot, COVID vaccine's in it. And the bad thing about that is, guys, is you don't know. None of us know. You know what somebody else tells you. It's just like all of the channels that get on YouTube and spread the propaganda for money. That's what it all boils down to. They've sold themselves out, and they're all selling propaganda on YouTube. Because if they are reading you the news, all right, that's what they're doing. They are forwarding the propaganda to you. That's it. Where are they getting their news? Where are these stories coming from? Just because it's not on the mainstream media doesn't mean that it's not a news story that wasn't reported to the news outlet. There are hundreds and hundreds of stories. You yourself, anybody in this chat right here, can make lots of money. Just go out there and read the propaganda that they want you to read to your fellow YouTubers. That's all you got to do. Because the news that they are giving you is entirely propaganda. All of it. Why do they need to tell you the truth? Why would they tell you the truth? What difference is it going to make if they tell you the truth? And would you even know if it was the truth today if they told you? Could any of us decipher it? Look at all the games they play with the numbers, the inflation, the jobs, the CPI, the stock markets, the banks. Look at how they play with all of those numbers and make them be whatever they want them to be. Because we figure inflation a different way today than we figured it in 1980. I mean, you know, when I went to school, inflation meant inflation, and it was figured a certain way. Well, you know, you work for the government. You can manipulate numbers, move numbers, do things just like last month. Surely y'all forgot all the mistakes that our accounting in the military made, and they were able to come up with all of these extra billions of dollars that they could send over to Ukraine because they misfigured the value on our equipment. Gosh, they can make these numbers do anything they want. The propaganda, they can do anything they want. I don't even know where to go with it anymore. What is believable? What can we do? Southern Purple One said it best the other day. There is nobody that is going to stand up and be a martyr. For the betterment of this whole country, people are not going to stand up and sacrifice themselves for everybody else, for the betterment of this country. And I know that because it hasn't been done. There ain't nobody going to stand up and do nothing because it hasn't been done. And things are only going to get worse for us. I told y'all in my last video when I got a little high blood pressure that by the end of the year, I thought we were really going to see some bad stuff. And I said it months and months ago. I mean, obviously supplies are an issue. We have seen supplies change, not only the supplies itself. I mean, you can't get older products that you used to be able to get. They've changed them, they've changed ingredients. Everybody has noticed different tastes in food, and you know, things are changing, the products are changing. Even though you can still go to the store and get product, it's going to come down to you're not going to be able to afford the product. Okay? You can call it hyperinflation, inflation, deflation, collapse of the dollar. You can call it whatever you want. But every single person in this chat room is seeing it, whether it is the price of food, the cost of rent, parts, everyday items that you are using, all right? They're not the 7 or 8% the government is telling you about. They are 20, 30, and 40% higher. Society cannot keep that up, especially with the layoffs that are coming, guys. I'm no prophet, all right? I'm not a fortune teller. I can just see it. The dominoes have started falling. If you follow China, all right, we are a consumer nation. We consume product here. We don't make product like what we used to. We used to be a production country. We had our industrial revolution. We made all kinds of good product. We had ideas, we had technology. We were a producing country. As the cost of being an American has gone up, the price of our labor to live, corporations in search for the almighty dollar and greed have moved our production facilities out of this country, and we are no longer a producer. We are a consumer. We consume lots and lots of goods, lots. I would go out on a limb and say probably 80% of the goods in this country are imported. And the majority of them from China. So if you're watching the Chinese ports, all right, and the Chinese manufacturing, things going on in China, because the things going on in China are going to affect you personally, directly here. Being a consumer nation and seeing how China produces most of the products that we use, when they shut down their facilities and they quit producing product, and they are having their own financial, economic, industrial, natural disasters in China, they're not sending product over here. We have heard everything from the ports on the West Coast have shut down. Labor unions are shutting them down. Product can't get unloaded. We have seen the whole complete circle on the supply line, guys. Don't y'all remember? It was just a couple of years ago, there were hundreds of ships sitting off of the California coastline that had Chinese soldiers on them. Don't you remember? They were full of soldiers. Guys, you have to be logical about all of this. There were hundreds of ships sitting out there. There are hundreds of ships sitting around now trying to get through the Panama Canal, back and forth, offloaded, unloaded, blah, blah, blah. The product is not leaving China. Do a little research on China. Look at what is happening over there. They are suffering major, major natural disasters. Production facilities shut down, nobody working, ports empty, container ships empty, container ships sitting, anchored. That domino falling right there is going to affect us drastically over here being a consumer nation. It is just a matter of time, and especially if we pick a war with China, which I don't think anybody in this chat room would agree that we are picking a war with China. I mean, we're picking a war two fronts here. We got it going on in Eastern Europe, and we got it going on over there in the South Pacific. Look at the shape that our country is in. Do you think we could take on a war front on opposite sides of the planet? We don't produce anything, guys. Even the raw materials of the few products that we do produce here come from China. I just don't know where this country is going to end up. We are very weak as a nation body. Yeah, NG, I mean, that is the greatest war that's happening right here. Again, you can pick any of those 5 things on that hand right there about how our government is affecting us right here in the United States. Exactly, it is a war on us. It's a war on the people. Look at how they're treating you. What? Look at the police. Look at your inflation. Look at your energy. Look at your jobs. And look at your health. Those 5 things right there. Look at what the government is doing to you. The police are just the arm of the government that are going to enforce whatever rules they come up with. The ladder I showed you a while ago, from the government to the people to the corporations, you know, to the police are the people that are going to enforce whatever rules they make up on you. That is one reason I don't have faith in military or law enforcement. Because by the time this thing is all said and done, guys, the people that are in the military and the people that are in law enforcement are going to take this. We've already seen how they will force them to do it. And look at it logically. If they were forced to take it, do you think they're going to be willing to force that upon you? We all know they've been going through the military, getting rid of the good people, and putting people on the front lines that are not going to have a problem going against the American people. Police, you need not look any further than YouTube to see how the police treat the American people. I'll mention this, sadly, yesterday. I wouldn't call the guy a friend, but he was an acquaintance. Probably an acquaintance of a few people here in the chat room. Took his own life for the bullshit that's going on today in the world. A guy down on his luck, needing a little money, a little trouble with the law, family problems, COVID problems, health problems. Took the ultimate decision to end his life because basically there was nowhere for him to go in our country to get help. That is a very piss poor situation. Rest in peace, Angry. It's a sad state our country is in. Yeah, mental health crisis. Whew. We all know the situation of the medical in this country. I mean, we were supposed to be the best of the best of the best. People came from all over the world to get medical treatment here. And granted, it probably is still far superior to many other medical places around the world. But you know, you break your arm and you go to the doctor here and you're looking at a $25,000 bill. You break your arm in Mexico and you go to the doctor and you give the guy $100 when you leave the doctor's office. And they have done the same thing to your arm. Because it's broke, guys, all right? It ain't never gonna be as good as it was. Now, do you have to have 15 orthopedic surgeons tell you that your arm was broke? No. Yeah, thanks, Bonnie. It's yeah, NG, I did. Sad deal, man. Angry was planning on coming up, actually, in a couple of months to spend a couple of days at the farm. It's just sad that, you know, our country comes to that. Yeah, drops the VA, man. I mean, again, I didn't serve in the military, but to watch what the VA does to our men and women of the military, I can't even tell you how bad it pisses me off. And that's one thing that I can't logically wrap my head around is, and I'll just be honest with you, I mean, I got friends that have nieces and nephews that are in the military. I have some distant family that is actually serving in the 101st right now. And these people are like balls out, ready to go kill Russians. I mean, that's, you know, our military has brainwashed these people into that. They are ready. And all of these young people that are signing up for the military and volunteering to go over there and do this and fight this rich man's war have seen firsthand how our government treats the vets. It's disgusting. In my mind, if you're willing to sign on that line and go fight and die in some foreign land, you shouldn't have to worry about anything if you make it back. There is no mortgage, there is no medical bill for you. That should all be taken care of, because without the vets, where would we be? I could sit here and talk all night on that, guys. I mean, the military of old that I grew up with is not the same military of today. It's not the same people, it's not the same moral, it's not the same value. Like I said, I've got friends that are in the military, served, vets. If they knew what they, if they knew then what they knew now, they never would have did it. Yeah, it's totally crap. I mean, ENG, the government makes all of these promises to these people and goes over there and puts them through total hell and then brings them home and gives them shit service, basically. It's unbelievable that people actually still sign up for the military, knowing what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and when they do it, and people still sign up for it. It boggles my mind. It is just crazy. Yeah, Dessa, it's the same old story. It's the military-industrial complex. That is why there will never be world peace. Because there is no profit to be made in peace, guys. None whatsoever. And in that tier there of those corporations that control the government, all right, the second tier up there in the corporations is the military-industrial complex. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars are stolen from you and given to them. Yeah, everybody likes peace, but it doesn't make any money. War makes lots of money. Lots and lots. That's why we, the United States, have been at war about 93% of our existence. Go look up the statistic. The 250 years that we've been here, we've been at war 93% of that time. Yes, in today's world, back to good, the people in control make the hero on one side and they make the villain on the other side. And they control both sides. That is exactly why a war with China will be good for them, because they're controlling both sides. I mean, you may think the communist Chinese Jin, whatever his name, is in charge. The dude is not in charge, all right? There are people above him that are in charge, that are controlling both sides. And when they get us to war and fight each other, they are going to make a shit ton of money. That's just the way it happens. They're going to raise the draft age. It would not surprise me at all if they don't institute another draft. People will just go along with it and go fight some foreign war for a rich guy cause. I personally do not think or consider or worry about what any Russian or any Iranian or any Chinaman is doing throughout my day. There is not 2 fleeting seconds throughout my day that I am concerned about what those people do. And I very seriously doubt that there are any Russians, Chinamen, or Iranians that are worried about what I'm doing over here. Right? It is the people and politicians, corrupt governments in control that do all of this. Oh yeah, Black Bear, they will do the women too, you know, equal rights for everybody today. You know, they won't be drafting me. I can tell you that. Call it whatever you want. I don't agree with their cause, and I'm not sure as hell gonna go give my life in some foreign country for them. I'd much rather stay here and fight tyrants on my own land. I'd rather fight those domestic terrorists right here in our own land. I'd much rather my son do that too. I heard a few weeks ago they were stopping the kids from leaving Ukraine, 16 and 17 years old. So you know they're only going to be moving that draft age further and further down. Yeah, I heard it on Pinball the other day, you know, with all these lockdowns and everything going on. As long as the southern border's open down there, I'm going to continue on like my life is just normal. They can do the lockdown, shut down, restriction, whatever the hell they want to. But if they can't get that southern border shut down, I ain't changing my life. Oh, it wouldn't surprise me that they wouldn't draft 15 or 16-year-olds. I mean, there again, I wouldn't let my kids go fight. I'll die right here on my hill protecting them, fighting the tyrants that want to send them off to die in a foreign country for no good cause. Because I don't believe at all the cause that they are fighting, since probably, you know, I wasn't around before Vietnam, so I can't tell you everything going on then, but I can tell you they were working both sides of World War II. And I don't doubt that they weren't working both sides of World War I. So, you know, all of the major conflicts that have gone on in this world since any of us were alive has been controlled both sides. What, this whole deal in Ukraine started over there in southern Ukraine because, what, a couple of groups of people were fighting back and forth, and there were a few hundred people, maybe a few thousand people that had been killed over the years and years and years. I heard the other day the toll was up to over 600,000 dead in Ukraine. So you tell me, was it really worth going down there and starting a war and killing 600,000 people when there were only a couple of thousand that had died? I mean, I feel sorry for those couple of thousand people that had died down there in those skirmishes. But was it worth the cost of another 600,000 dead? There was no way possible that, you know, it could have been worked out or avoided, or we just couldn't have got along as a human species. It was a civil war. Well, I remember a couple of little skirmishes down there. I mean, a civil war is when you have a few million people against another few million people that we saw here. That's what I call a civil war. One town or one group of people fighting another group of people down there over two borders. To me, that's not worth the death of 600,000 people. To me, us going into Iraq and Afghanistan 20 years ago for weapons of mass destruction is not worth the cost of the 6 million dead people and kids and families and destruction over there. I mean, it's just not worth it, guys. But that's where we are as a species of people. I mean, the most intelligent species on the planet here, and this is what we got to do. Yeah, false flagged, exactly. What do you think they're going to do next time to join us all together to fight this new world war that's coming? If you think a war is coming, put a chat in the one in the chat down there. If you think there's fixing to be another world war, it may be a couple of months off, maybe a year off, maybe 2 years off. I don't know when, but it's coming. What kind of false flag event do you think they're going to have to pull off to get the American people to get behind them? Yeah, exactly, Dr. Good. It just, you know, if we, the people, would stand up, it wouldn't even take all of us, 1%. And we can't do it. We're afraid of the big government hammer. Because they will. When you stand up and you try and do something, what happened to the people at Waco? Right here in Texas, Waco. Right down there, a couple of 100 miles. The largest mass murder by the U.S. government, right down there, Waco, Texas. 46 kids. What happened to those? You see anybody raising hell about those people today? Of course not, they're old news. You know, the CIA, the FBI, all of the alphabet gangs, they told you David Koresh was in there raping little kids and he was selling weapons and he was doing all of this crazy stuff, you know, to make their raid on the compound legit. So they went in there and killed 46 kids. How many people were in an uproar over that? You still see people protesting on the streets today? How about Lavoy Finicum? Any of you know who Lavoy is? Let's see down there in the chat. Any of you remember Lavoy? Of course it was a setup, Bonnie. There's nothing that is going to happen that they don't know about it. It wasn't planned, wasn't schemed, wasn't thought out. Y'all don't remember Lavoy? You know the guy the FBI shot out there in a bar ditch in Nevada, I think? He was friends with Mr. Bundy. Stood up with the Bundys out there on their ranch. How many people went to the aid of the Bundys? You know, just normal people out there trying to live on the land, live their life, own their farm for, before there was even a state out there, they settled on that land. How many people went out there to help them? Oh, at first there were, you know, a couple of 100 people showed up. It's crazy. Yeah, Bundy, the Bundy Ranch. You know, when the American people stood up against the government and a couple of 100 armed civilians out there shut down the BLM and the entire U.S. government. Yeah, same thing they're doing to the Amish. The old saying, you know, when they came and got the guy in New York, you didn't do anything. And then they came and they got the guy in Arkansas, and you didn't do anything. And then they came and got the guy down the street from you, and you didn't do anything. And when they come get you tomorrow, guess what? There ain't gonna be nobody left to come help you either. Hey, NGH, how's it going? Glad you could stop by. We've had a bit of an interesting chat here tonight, I think. Slow down a little bit now, but give us a new hot topic here to talk about. They have screwed everybody over, from the indigenous people that were in this country before any of us were ever here. Our government has been screwing people over. Just a few miles right over here from my home is the very last place that the Indians stood together in the state of Texas to fight the U.S. government. All of them. The Cherokees, the Apaches, the Saskatchewalis, or whatever. All of those people that had different culture and beliefs and fought with each other and had wars, all right? In the end, they saw who their enemy was, and they came together as a people, as a group. And they stood right over there, just a few miles from my house. And the U.S. government come in there and squashed them and killed all of them. Indians. That's what the government cares and thinks about you. And they will do the same thing. No hesitation, no question, no remorse. They care not. What was all the hoopla last week about the Marines fighting FEMA over in Hawaii? How much did you hear about that? Immigrant community close to me? There is no immigrant community close to me. Now, I did hear our illustrious governor was building some immigrant city here in Texas. I'm not sure where it is, but it's supposed to house a couple of 100,000 people, I think. Yeah, it's down there closer to the Houston area down there. I'm at the farm, so, and I don't consider Houston my home down there. I'm not intending on staying there at all, Bonnie, so. You better hush. You better hush. What'd y'all hear? Mountain lion? Let me let the dogs out, guys. Y'all hang on a second. Hey, come up with a good idea. I ain't done with all this down the rabbit hole yet, so give me some ideas, guys. Oh, the way them dogs tore out of there, I think they might have found a bobcat or something, so I'm gonna let them out. What we got here? You wanna see the doggies? Oh, they're chasing coons or something now. Yeah, Ricky made a little appearance. Yeah, NG, everybody ought to have a little radio knowledge and use, something laying around the house. Oh, Ricky, he went upstairs a while ago. I don't know where he went. I've got a, let me see if I can find it right quick and I'll show y'all. I got a big, thick book somewhere with all the radio stuff in it for our area. Here it is. This is what I put together, NG. It's all the ham operation manuals for our radio here around our place. And here is a list of all of the frequencies in our area. So having that stuff around is helpful. Here's y'all some channels to look at. You can pause and go back through and pick up those frequencies. Maybe valid around in your area too. But lots of good radio stuff. Put it on paper and put it there for other people, NG, because even if you know it, somebody else may not. It's good for them to know. I'll get back to the house, doggies. Yeah, radio communication will be good. Yeah, LD, I see your comments. If y'all want to watch a good movie that will explain a little bit to you about the banking crisis and financials and things going on, look up a movie called The Big Short. And it's what happened in 2008. And it's going to give you an idea of what's going on right now and happening right now. The Big Short. It's a good movie. Look it up. Yeah, NG, handing out to others. That's good. I think anybody with a ham can be a repeater. I saw something about that Amerigeddon movie. I hadn't seen it, but I did see a trailer. What else y'all want to talk about? I don't mind going down any. Yeah, Michael Burry. He was in that movie, The Big Short. He did that before. It's kind of explained the movie. He shorted all the housing crisis in 2008, and I think he put about 1.3 or 4 billion bet against it in 2008, and his company made about $240 billion. Yeah, Bonnie, you're going to need your own tower. I don't think they lease them or anything, but the bigger tower you get, the better. You don't have to have an tower for an antenna, but it's probably the best way. They have antennas that you can string up in trees or with ropes, or free hanging antennas, many different kinds. A license? Well, when the shit hits the fan, guys, licenses ain't gonna matter. And in all honesty, you only need a license to transmit. You do not have to have a license to receive. So you can get a ham radio and listen to anything that you want to listen to. But if you are going to push the button, you might need a license. Yeah, if you're not getting on there acting stupid, doing stupid stuff, they're probably not going to come down on you. If you're not getting on there acting a fool, they're probably not going to hunt you down. But who knows, it is 2023. There are worse crimes happening out there, but click on your little radio and they might come knocking on your door, so be careful. What else, guys? I ain't afraid to go down those rabbit holes. I ain't had a strike in a year, so it's about time for one. Exactly. Just don't get on there and be a dumbass NG, and they're probably not going to mess with you. And the radios are only going to be so good for so far. I mean, in a shit hit the fan situation, if you ain't traveling, you ain't got fuel, transportation, I mean, chances are that radio is going to go further than you're going to be willing to walk or hike to go get or help or do anything else that you need to do. It's going to be more for listening and finding out information. The sheeple, oh, NGH. I don't know if we got time to go into all that. I talked about the sheeple, and the complying is going to be the biggest one coming along. And I think that's why they're going to get away with it. As many people as there are that say they're not going to comply, we already know 60-70% of them are. And once they get the majority, folks, they don't care about the rest of us. They don't care if you get it or not. Because once they have the majority agreeing to it, and the majority has agreed to get this so that they can have their new bank account with their digital currency, and they can have their new vaccine passport, to go with their new ID that links to their digital stuff. And all of that is going to link together. And if they have the majority, they don't care whether you do or not. The old saying in a democracy that 51% control 49% is true. Do I have a vid on my prep organization for my canning? Well, NGH, I'm sorry to tell you, but my prep organization is about this much. I have stacked it tall and deep and far and wide. That is my organizational skills. I have stuff I have not seen in 10 or 15 years. I'm not the guy that rotates out food and all that kind of stuff. My thought is to stack it. I'll deal with it later. Most of my communication is going to be done with freedom dispensers. Yeah, Odessa, we eat our dry canning stuff all the time and freeze dried. Mostly I take out rice and beans to be used for the dry canning. But my theory is I didn't can all of that stuff up to use it this year or next year. I mean, I canned it and stacked it and prepared it for long term, 10 plus years. And y'all have seen me. I have opened stuff on my channel on video that is 10, 12, 15 years old and eat it. If it don't look good, I'm not gonna risk it. I'm not gonna chance it. I've got pigs down there that would love anything that comes out of my supplies. And really, the cost of animal food today, most of the food that I bought back 10 or 15 years ago that would be bad is probably cheaper feeding to my animals than going and buying animal feed today. There was all kinds of things going on in Katrina that made that impossible, much like the situation in Hawaii now. I mean, when you have a localized event like that, if it's bad enough, guys, there really isn't anything left. I mean, I spent a year and a half in Waveland, Mississippi after Katrina, even though most of the media and news was on New Orleans over there from the levees that broke. The Hurricane Katrina actually came ashore in Mississippi, Waveland, Mississippi. And the whole town over there was gone. The only thing that was left standing in that town was the bank vault. The bank was gone, but the vault was still there. Oh, the government works, the government and the devil. Yeah, the devil works everywhere, Odessa. And there's no doubt he is not in the government. That's what I said earlier. These people that are making our laws and rules and operating by the Constitution, a document that's based on faith and Christian faith, these people ain't Christians. So for them to follow our Constitution or our rules or laws ain't gonna happen. Seeds are very, very important. Even though our gardens have been over for months now, I saw a Youper was actually harvesting in his garden. I know y'all guys up north, Northern Girl, y'all are still getting some stuff out of y'all's gardens. We've had 2 months down here of 100+ degree weather and no rain, so gardens were done here a long time ago. Yeah, it is. The evil abounds, guys, and it's just I mean, I said it the other day. Wow, what? I know most of you in here are normal, moral people, and 3 years ago, you probably never would have considered 3/4 of this stuff happening. Lockdowns in America. Who thought that would have happened? Yet it did. That's my whole thing with this Q, Trump, black hat, white hat thing, guys. You know, they keep talking all this crap and nothing happens. Years and years and years and years now. It's the same old, same old. The same thing that the politicians are telling you now. They tell you everything that you want to hear so that they can get elected, and when it comes time to vote and actually make rules and things for the betterment of us, guess what? You get zilcho. My strawberries actually made it all year long. I was really surprised. They have made it through the greenhouse, which exceeded 120 degrees many times. So I was quite proud of my strawberries. I hope they make it through this winter. Yeah, that's the thing, NG News, being able to get information. But again, everybody's idea of this shit hitting the fan and this event and what's gonna happen is everybody's imagination. I mean, there are some people out there that think it's gonna be a Mad Max. There are some people out there that think everything is totally fine, nothing's gonna happen. There are people out there that think it's gonna be like the Great Depression. There are people out there that think it's gonna be fine. They're gonna go into the woods, they're gonna hunt a deer, they're gonna live off of their garden. And the truth of it is nobody really knows what's gonna happen, guys. We can only assume. And we can only assume that most of the people in this chat right here are going to assume that it's getting worse. It is going to get worse. As I said before, it's not going to be a matter of going to the store and getting the product. You're not going to be able to afford the product. Being able to grow your own food or harvest your own food, collect your own food, hunt your own food, fish for your own food. Very few people in here, including myself, is 100% self-sufficient on your own. I don't know really even many people on YouTube that are 100% self-reliant. And chances are, if I didn't go meet them in person and see the operation for myself, I probably wouldn't believe it. Because I know how hard it is on my place out here, and I'm not self-sufficient. And I know how hard I work at it to get it there, and how much money I've spent to try and get it there. With the equipment, the houses, the greenhouses, the gardens, the soil, the animals, the on and on and on and on. And to see these guys come on YouTube, with their off-grid fake lifestyle and self-reliance and all that, I just, I have to laugh and call bullshit on it. I know, I do it every day. What I see on their YouTube channel is not possible. Being more self-sufficient and more self-reliant is definitely going to help you, but it is not going to provide everything that you need. So many people are going to wake up to to things that they don't have, things they did not consider, things they didn't think about, things they didn't stock, things they didn't prep, and it only takes one little thing to throw a whole big wrench in all of your stuff. The emus, they're doing good. I'm hoping they lay some eggs this year. I didn't know it, but they don't start laying eggs till they're about 2 years old, so that's the problem. Drops with most people having the idea that, you know, they can grow what they need, they can raise what they need, blah, blah, blah. And the true fact of the matter is, that's just not how it happens. If you think you're just going to run off into the woods out here or out into the country somewhere and throw out some seeds and grow a garden, granted, there are a lot of places that have great soil and great dirt and will grow a lot of things. But there is a reason why all of the citrus is grown in Florida. Most of the other fruits are grown in California. Cotton is grown in West Texas. Corn is grown in Kansas, all right? There are certain things that grow better in certain areas, and for you to think that you're gonna go out here and raise a garden and have everything from kiwi to tomatoes to, you know, lettuce to strawberries and all of these grapes and different variety of food that you're used to eating, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, you can grow a variety, but you can't grow it all. Hey, Northern Girl, when was the last time you picked an orange up there? Did it make it to a Cat 4 black bear? That water is pretty warm over there. I assume that it probably would. The way that's all shaped over there with Florida and that bay, there is going to be a hell of a lot of water that is pushed up into that corner. What about this whole deal with the gasoline going on over there with the Citgo stations? Yeah, bringing in soil is stuff just don't grow everywhere. Yeah, see, never. How hard do you think it's gonna be to get fresh citrus in Canada if shit hits the fan? How hard is it gonna be to get fresh strawberries in Texas when shit hits the fan? Anything, guys. I mean, there's a lot of tobacco users probably right here in the chat. How many of you have grown tobacco? How many of you have tried? That's what I say, guys. We are a consumer nation now. And the tidal wave, dominoes, whatever you want to call it, everything is coalescing, guys. Yeah, Bonnie, there again, it becomes a price issue. You know, we could. Most countries could probably provide for a lot of what they use. But, you know, we used to. I mean, before there was all this worldwide trading and stuff going on, most countries provided for their own needs and what they needed. And, you know, the almighty dollar and price has become the issue. Sure, we can grow strawberries in California, but we can't grow them all year long. And most people are used to the convenience of going to the store and picking up fresh strawberries 365 days a year. Any day you want it, you can go get them. As well as mangoes and kiwis and oranges and steak and fish and lobster and shrimp. Pretty much anything that you want, you can go to the store and buy. Because we are a convenience society. And when that goes away, strawberries are going to be available out of California for 4 months out of the year. The other 8 months, you're going to do without. And if you were lucky enough to get some of those strawberries during those 4 months, how much do you think you're going to have to pay for those strawberries? I've already seen some of the stuff coming from the UK and Europe over there. Maybe it was from Canada. I mean, it's one single onion for like $3. One single orange for like $3.50. I have some people that are supposed to be getting me some tobacco seeds, Bonnie, but again, it's not going to be the easiest plant for me to grow here in Texas. Broad, leafy, green plants don't do well here. I have had one hell of a time just trying to get corn to grow here. And I've amended soil, I have planted varieties of corn, different types, and between weather and predators and water, I'm having a very difficult time getting corn mature. And corn is a very big item that you need to be able to grow in your preps. Yeah, $3 for an onion. I can't give up on it, Majak. I gotta keep trying. I have got some very good corn from MB that seems to do really good. It was doing pretty good this year, but we had a hailstorm that took it out, so I lost my growing this year on corn. Yeah, tobacco is, not only do I use a little bit of tobacco product, but it's going to be a very good barter item. And if you are able to grow and cure tobacco, you will have something valuable to barter with. I should send you some corn seeds, NGH. MB has a very delicious corn. Oh yeah. Well, that again, guys, I mean, that's everybody's go-to answer is wildlife, to go hunt and fish. And my pineapple and banana do really good, Bonnie. My pineapples haven't made pineapples yet, but they are growing, so I'm assuming they're going to. The hunting thing, everybody thinks they're going to fall back on that hunting thing and not realizing that, that's everybody's go-to idea. And I'm assuming this year, specifically, come hunting season, there are going to be a lot of new hunters out there. And as long as there is rule of law, for the biggest part, people will follow those rules and hunting seasons. But when the shit hits the fan, those hunting seasons and regulations and limits, all of those things are going to go out the door, guys. People are not going to care whether they are killing does or bucks or fawns. They are not going to care what time of year it is. They're not going to care about breeding season, and they're not going to care how many of them they take. This is their food. This is the only food that they're going to get. And as far as most people are concerned, it's free game. And when you got millions and millions and millions and millions of extra additional people using that resource is going to become less and less and less, especially when they care not about breeding seasons and times and, quotas and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, how many hunters are in the U.S. right now? What, you might get a good maybe 30, 40 million that hunt. Double that number to 100 million because it's what we need. oh, they're going to totally abuse the resource until the resource is completely gone. And there won't be going out in the back and getting, fishing or hunting or deer or whatever, because they are going to become very, very rare. And I know a lot of other places around the country in Canada, people actually probably still really hunt. As far as down here in Texas, I mean, for us, you go out there and you put some corn in the deer feeder and you sit on your 5-gallon bucket and you wait till 7:30 and they're gonna come by. And you take a pick as to which one you want to shoot, and that is your hunting experience in Texas. That's about how hard it is. But all these great white hunters that use their corn and their deer nuggets and their deer mineral to draw all of this in. Hey, thanks Taco Syndicate. I didn't even see you in here, but thanks for coming by. All these people that use this bait and stuff to get these animals to come in for them to hunt, what are you gonna do when you can't get that bait? When you can't go down to your feed store and buy that 100 pounds of corn to feed the deer? They're not gonna come to your feeder and watch that thing spin just to watch it spin and hear it go brrr. I mean, they want food coming out of that thing. And when you ain't got it, they're gonna quit coming to it. Hey, country boy, I didn't see you either. Yeah, that's the thing here, country boy. I can sit out here on my porch and watch the deer come by, but when 15,000 people in the county are out looking for deer, they're probably going to be visiting a little less frequently. That would be my assumption. Drop your link, Bonnie. Call them in. That's what I do down here in the morning. Hey, turkey, turkey, turkey. Cheek, 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 cheek. That's how I call mine in. $2,000 in your county and 300 in my city. Well, remember, there's 300 million in the country boy. So don't think you're liable to be out there in the country all by yourself when this goes down. Because that's their second option, is they think they're gonna run off out here into the country and everything is gonna be okay. Thank you, NGH. Yeah, NG, that's the thing. We have lost the knowledge over time for convenience. It's much easier to reach over there and grab the Tylenol bottle and eat a couple of Advils than it is to go out there and pull the bark off of your willow tree and cook it down and boil it and chew it and blah, 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 blah. We have become a society of convenience. And I think that convenience is going to be ripped away rather quickly from most of us. Yeah, that's exactly what they're gonna do, country boy. Just like the first thought is they're gonna go out there and hunt deer and squirrel and catch fish. Their second thought is they're just gonna run off out here to the country and throw out some seeds, and they're gonna have a little cabin or their tent, and they're gonna camp out there and they're gonna live through shit hits the fan. You just learned about aspirin? Yes, Dessa, that is where aspirin comes from, is a willow tree. It is the very thin layer, I forget what they call it, underneath the bark. It's a white, spongy layer. Peel the bark off a willow, get that white cambium out of there, and that is what makes aspirin. It is a pain reliever. Wild lettuce, yes. Wild lettuce is as strong as morphine, so be very careful when you're making that, guys. Watch at least 2 YouTube videos before you make a wild lettuce. Uh, that's the thing with convenience, guys, and medicine. I mean, where do you think all of these big pharma companies are getting this? They have taken all of the knowledge that has was passed on for generations and generations and made it convenient and easy in pill form for you to take. There are those people all over MG. They are not just limited to your area. I don't think it's going to take the people long to wake up to the police tactics once it all kicks in. I mean, most people just don't want to see it. You know, they want to think the police are good and they're here to protect you and do the right things and blah, blah, blah. Not even realizing that protecting you is not the police job. That is not what they are here for. They're not obligated to in any shape, form, or fashion. Hey, Dragonflies, thanks for stopping by. What is the latest on the hurricane? It's really not supposed to make landfall till tomorrow morning, right? Pretty early. The last I saw on it, they were like 15-foot waves out there. You're right, Dragonflies. It's too much coming. That's just the thing. People cannot keep up with everything going on. I mean, it's day after day after day. I think the hurricane here is probably gonna take Hawaii out of the news. You know, things getting hot over there with the kids and the lasers and the land and the celebrities, and you know, it's a little too much attention over there. So they'll focus attention now on the hurricane, and Hawaii will be out of the news. Well, I hope he's in the right place in Florida, Bonnie, because anywhere over there in that northwest quadrant is not going to be good, especially if it is up to Category 4. You know, and I don't know if anybody has taken into consideration yet, but you know, we've heard for the last couple of years now all the shortages on transformers and electrical and meters, and I know they are having problems because some of the equipment that I was trying to buy for the RV park was on back order. And some of the other projects going on around here that people are building, a lot of the things are on back order as well. So, you know, a big hurricane rolling into Florida, decimating the electric grid down there. Wasn't it just maybe 6 months ago that, you know, there were some Florida officials saying it could be years before the power comes back on down there if they take a big hit? Just east of Pensacola. Well, he's going to be pretty close to it. Exactly, Majak. We don't make anything, and you know, all those transformers come from China. Do you think China is just really ready and willing to just help us? Plantain and cattail. Those are both pretty good. Yep, the inner willow bark. You're right, LD. Now, granted, guys, it does not work as fast, and there is a little work involved to get it. But if you don't have Advil or Tylenol, I have specifically grown willow trees, or gotten willow trees to growing out here on my property for that reason. Yep, exactly, country boy. China's got their own problems going on. You know, I think that is probably one reason why they haven't jumped off on Taiwan yet, is because of all the issues that they got going on in their own country. All of y'all guys in y'all's big towns, my little town out here has about 50 people. Well, thanks, Odessa. I don't figure myself to be too smart. I live in reality. I can't live in la la land and make believe. I have to deal with what goes on in everyday life. I mean, I would like to think and hope that, the black hats in the White House are fighting it out, and yeah, they are blowing underground tunnels up and saving the kids and blah, 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 blah. But they've been saying that for years now, years and years and years. And what have we seen? Absolutely nothing. So my faith in that whole debacle is very nil. So much so that I can't depend on it. Exactly, Northern Girl. I mean, there again, regulation and restriction. They have complete control with the regulation and the restriction here. You don't have to have swamps to grow willows, even though they do like water. If you can get one, get it and just, make sure that it gets some water, and they will grow. And if I'm not mistaken, I think a black willow tree is the best for that. $1,500. I think there's 50 or 75 in our little town. There might be 1,500 in the closest next little town. Arnica tree, the best for aspirin. I'd tell all of you guys to get that app on your phone. Picture this. That's the name of the app. It is a plant identifier. You can easily identify all of the plants in your area, take pictures of them, write descriptions of them, get hard copies of them, so that later on you can come back and look, even without the internet. If you have the app and you take the pictures and write a description in there, anything less than an EMP, even if you don't have phone service, you will still have the photos on your phone with descriptions. And even if you look up the plant and the app doesn't give you any kind of use for the plant, Google it and see what kind of other uses are, for the plant. Well, Indian toilet paper, that is good stuff right there. If you can find some, gather the seeds and spread it all around your property. Mullein has several uses. Get them seeds planted, dragonflies. That's good toilet paper right there. The best. Wild edible books are good. Medicinal books are good. And get them for your areas too, guys. That's another thing. I mean, as I was explaining in the gardening a while ago, example, Northern Girl has all of these berries, bushes, and things that are growing up there in her place, that grow great up in Canada. And she said she's going to send me some seeds, and I'm going to try and grow them down here in Texas. But, things may grow good in your area that won't grow in mine, and things may grow in mine that won't grow in yours. Or I may have mullein and you may not. Areas are different, and that is why the indigenous people of this land before we came here were nomadic. And I think that's what a lot of people don't gather or understand about hunter-gatherer nomadic tribes people. You're not going to run off to the woods and build your little cabin and stay right here. Okay, because after 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to use up all of the resources in this area. And where you are hiking one mile, to go gather food for a day, after you've been there a week, you're going to have to hike 2 or 3 miles or 4 or 5 miles and get outside of that area to find new stuff. It will not replenish itself that fast, guys. That is exactly why the Indians moved around. When they used up resources in one area, they had to move around. So going out there and building you a little cabin in the woods ain't gonna help. If you're going to be a hunter-gatherer kind of situation, you are going to need to move around. Hey, Guardsman. You guys and your mushrooms, man, the texture has got me. I'm not a mushroom guy. And we don't get many mushrooms growing here in Texas anyway, so. Exactly, dragonflies. I mean, I see Ark Wildman. I don't know if he's still in here. I see him out foraging around his place all the time. And I know for a fact that Ark Wild doesn't live specifically off of his foraging because he buys big, huge boxes of bacon, which I enjoy. But you know, if Arkman had to live off of just his foraging around there, he's going to have to be foraging further and further and further every day. I mean, he's quite lucky that he has got the assortment around there and the wealth of knowledge that he has. He will do very well for himself. Ark Wildman is probably one of the best that I have seen on YouTube. He's not a guy that just talks the talk and walks the walk. He actually does it. I mean, there ain't nobody else I've seen through the 100-degree summer heat get out there on Cast Iron Wednesday and cook on an open fire a meal to eat every Wednesday. And he did it no matter what. Rain, snow, sleet, heat, it didn't matter. Ark is the real deal. Yeah, Dessa, we're not going to get away from the pollution, and something that you should definitely consider in a shit-hit-the-fan situation. The pollution and contamination of everything is going to drastically increase. Just take into consideration the wastewater facility of the nearby town to which you live. I mean, most people are not on septics anymore. They are on city sewer. And those wastewater treatment facilities run off of electricity with motors and all kinds of electronics. And when those wastewater facilities go down, just because the wastewater treatment facility is off does not mean that people are going to quit flushing their toilet. And gravity still works, guys, you know, and that stuff is going to travel to the nearest pump station or to the nearest wastewater treatment facility until it overruns. And when that facility overruns, guess where all of that stuff goes? If you're familiar with wastewater treatment facilities, they are generally located on a lake, a river, a creek, or a stream because they need fresh water to treat all of the water coming in. Well, when that facility shuts down and all of that effluent drains, overflows, is uncontrolled because the pumps don't work, it's going to contaminate most of the surface water around you. Any lake, river, or stream is going to be contaminated. I've said it before. Do not trust any surface water that you come across. Rainwater, creek water, pond water, don't trust it. If you can't filter it and boil it, I would suggest that you don't put it in your body. Most of them are NG. It's just become, there again, convenience. I mean, you know, you can't have hundreds of thousands of septic tanks in the city in your backyard. It just won't work that way. The hand pumps are great dragonflies for shallow wells. They tend to work okay. The problem becomes if you're trying to tend to a garden or animals. The size of my garden and the number of animals I got, I would be out there pumping for probably 6 hours a day on a hand pump just to get enough water to take care of my animals. And that wouldn't even begin to mention the amount of water that you're going to need for a garden. And again, the water wells, you know, that people are digging today, they run off of modern technology. They have an electric pump down the hole, and chances are that electric pump has circuitry on it. Solar pumps are good, Bonnie, but you have to watch the depth of the well. Most of the solar pumps are really made for shallow wells. You get over a couple of 100 feet, and you're probably not going to be able to pull the water up with a standard solar pump setup. Now, you can obviously build or buy a solar package large enough to run a standard well pump. But most of the solar well pumps are smaller horsepower for shallower wells. And shallow in Texas is like 200 feet or less. And you can get water in that distance. You don't have to go to 500 feet. Just typically here around in our area, the good aquifer water is about 500 feet deep. But you can dig here about 30 to 40 feet and get surface water. It's just a very high mineral content, probably a little discolored from all the iron. It just really depends, dragonflies. Our wells here run about $40 a foot. And that's all inclusive with the pump and the pipe and everything. But I've mentioned it several times on here before. Our 500-foot wells run about $20,000. I have heard, and it may vary area to area up there in Arkansas, but I've heard, we had looked at buying some property up there before, and I'd heard a couple of 100 feet was, you could get pretty good water in Arkansas at a couple of 100 feet. But there again, like you said, you're drilling through a lot of rock. So even though it may be shallower, it takes longer, more time on the drill rig, it could be, relatively the same price. Yeah, most hand pumps, LD, aren't going to go over 20 to 30 feet. I think they do make one that goes down to about 100, but it's not a cheap hand pump. Yeah, water witching is a thing. 50K for a water well, whew, that would be a tough one to swallow there, but people really don't realize, guys, without water, you have no homestead or farmstead. And it is great if you've got that surface water running through your property, but you can just count on the surface water being contaminated. I've had many people tell me they're going to do a rain catch system, and I have a rain catch system on my house here. I'm going to use every method that I can to catch water. But I know prior to ever even taking one sip of that rainwater, it needs to be disinfected and filtered, all of it. We see the crap that they are spraying in our skies every day. Now, not just what they're spraying. Look at all the wildfires going on. Look at all the smoke in the air. Look at all the industry in the air. Look at all the petrochemical industry in the air. The evaporatives, the distillates, the smoke, it's all in the air. And just because you don't see it, don't mean it ain't there. Just the exhaust from vehicles. And the water that falls from the sky is, it used to be clean. Used to probably be some of the best stuff you could get, but today I wouldn't drink rainwater. Yeah, that's surface water, LD. I think one of the properties that we sold over there, one of the lots had a surface well on it. I think it was about 35 or 40 foot deep. Exactly, Odessa. I mean, that was just the thing. I mean, the whole planet. And that's the double-edged sword that we see in this green movement. Because I am the very first person that would stand up and say that we as people need to be better stewards of our land. This is the only rock that we have. And we just keep screwing it up. I mean, probably from the late 1700s, maybe, up until today, we have totally been screwing this place up. I mean, you look at what just our government did through the 40s and the 50s with the nuclear stuff. Guys, there are nuclear contamination sites all around our country that have been buried and forgotten about, and, because they didn't know back then. I mean, really, what the outcome of all this stuff was going to be. And it's unbelievable, unfathomable the amount of chemicals and things that we have done to our planet. I'll be the first one to stand up and tell you, yeah, we need to be better stewards. We need to take care of our planet better. But, we've been operating off of this fossil fuel now for 100 years, 150 years, our industrial revolution. And to think that they're going to switch it over, in just a few years or a decade is, it ain't going to happen. I mean, we, society, industrially, are not prepared for that. So to think that it's going to happen is only going to make it harder on us here. I mean, we are the end users. Do you think Bill Gates or George Soros gives a damn how much gas is a gallon? Do you think Bill Gates cares that it costs $1 million to fill up his yacht with fuel? I mean, the people that got this kind of money don't care about price, availability. They can afford to get it. You can't eat steak, but they're going to fly it in and eat it for them. Rules for thee and not for me. Exactly, they preach to us and tell us, and exactly like the military, they want to force the Green Deal onto us, the public people, but they use the largest carbon footprint industrial military machine on the planet, to force their agenda through, and it's totally okay. Yeah, surface well is perfectly fine for irrigation, LD. Do as I say, not as I do. Exactly, country boy. And that's the way that it's been for a long time. These elites, folks, you are scum to them. You're not even people. You shouldn't be drinking their water. You shouldn't be breathing their air. You are low-class slave peasant to these people. They only get away with what we allow. In Dakota, we allow it all. We let them do it all. It's exactly the same thing Southern Pepper One said the other day. There ain't nobody gonna stand up and be a martyr and go do anything about it. We all enjoy our convenient lives too much. Useless breathers. There you go, Bonnie. That's exactly what they think about us. Yeah, dragonflies, they have told us about the agenda the whole time. I mean, Agenda 2021 came and gone. Agenda 2030 is rolling in, and they already have plans for Agenda 2050. So if you think they are not in this thing for the long term, that's the whole thing they're doing, guys. They're doing it right to our very face. They told us before you were going to own nothing and you're going to be happy, all right? And what are they doing? People are going broke. People can't afford house insurance, cars, gas, food, groceries, medical. You can't afford nothing. That's right. Nobody wants to be the first penguin off the iceberg. But all the penguins realize the iceberg is going to flip over one day. And then we don't have a choice. We're all in the water. uh, yeah, that's the thing, though, Texas lady. You know, everybody thought that it was miraculous or strange that Oprah Winfrey's house didn't burn down in Maui. Well, you know, there is a very big difference between Oprah Winfrey's house in Maui and the thousands of other, houses that burned up out there. I can assure you that in Oprah's multi-million dollar house, they have a backup water system. Water stored on site, probably a very good fire suppression system, irrigation system. You know, they have all of these things built into them $1 million homes so that those homes do survive. Oh, 2024 is going to be very rough. Yeah, I mean, when you have that kind of money, sure, you can pay private firefighters or whatever. I mean, they have generators at their house, power standby, water standby, food standby. They have all that stuff there at those houses, guys. Oh, totally beyond code. I mean, would you not think that they don't have that stuff at their houses? But it was just last year when the hoopla come up about all of the energy. Obama buried two 2,500-gallon propane tanks out there at his house in Martha's Vineyard. I mean, 5,000 gallons of propane, my generator would run out here for a couple of years. Exactly, LD. Get the things that you can get while you can still get them. They're going to be on the shelf. You're just not going to be able to afford them. That's the whole plan. They can regulate and limit us to anything they want very easily. You think it's going to be a hard switch over to the CBDC, all the digital currency? You know how easy it is for them to make you not want that cash in your hand? All they got to do is say the new variant is on the cash, and what are you going to do? The new disease bacteria is on the cash. Don't touch it. How fast viral do you think that video is going to go over? Exactly, Drops. I mean, everything has been hacked. Why do I need a vacuum cleaner that's Wi-Fi compatible? Why is my coffee maker Wi-Fi compatible? Why is, you know, everything that I buy now is Wi-Fi compatible? We just had all that work done on our swimming pool and had to upgrade our control panel, which is now Wi-Fi compatible, and I can control my swimming pool from my phone. I can't turn it on manually anywhere at my house, but I gotta get on my phone to actually turn on my swimming pool now. And all of that Wi-Fi, I'm sure all of you have heard, they can use the Wi-Fi in your house, the router in your house, to determine where you are in your house, how many people are in your house, all of that good stuff. They can use the Wi-Fi for that. You know, when you're vacuuming your house in there with your Wi-Fi vacuum cleaner, that vacuum cleaner is making a map of your house. It knows every inch of your house. Everything. Yeah, exactly. To map your house. Exactly. Yeah, smart toilets, they got it all, guys. I mean, we have done it to ourselves. We allowed it, we buy the convenience, we stack the convenience. And maybe not us specifically in here, but society as a general whole. They have the majority hooked on it, guys. And when they got the majority, they don't care about the minority. If you have the majority, you can force the minority. You just need a Wi-Fi husband. I hear Japan is working on the Wi-Fi husband and wife. So it shouldn't be any time, Texas lady, and you'll be able to order up your husband. Yeah, protein powder and any of that stuff will be good. Yeah, guardsman, I can't even turn my pool on and off without my cell phone. My question to the pool guy is what happens when the internet's down? I can't turn my pool on or off, or what? I mean, where's the little button on the wall that says on, off? On, off, that's all I need. Hey, Moonsprout, I didn't see you coming in here. Oh, you don't want a Wi-Fi husband now? Come on, Texas lady. Yeah, exactly, LD. That's how easy it would be. As a society, we are brainwashed to, oh no, it's on our cash, and people are going to get rid of that cash. They're not going to want to hold it. You wouldn't be able to give cash to anybody freaking 2 years ago if you told them COVID was on it. Well, thanks for listening, Moon. Yeah, you can't know everything. It's too much to keep up with. That's the whole thing, guys. They keep us overwhelmed and distracted while all of this other stuff goes on. And we don't even realize that they're, what's happening, because they're taking too much away. And it happens so fast, they take a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and before you know it, it's all gone. I mean, it's just like this, the central bank digital currency, the Fed now, the world coin, whatever it is that you want to call it, we can all see it going that way. And the biggest reason I see it going that way is because the people in charge are so corrupt. They're tired of moving around big, large sums of dirty cash. It's much easier for them to make zeros and ones on their computer digitally. That's what I don't think people don't understand about the bank runs when they're going to happen. The fact of it is, guys, in all of the money printing, all right, just think about this. Since we've been printing money here in the U.S., there is only about 1.5 trillion physical actual dollars. $100 bills, $50 bills, $20 bills, 5, 10s, 1s. There is only about $1.5 trillion in actual cash, okay? Now, just our debt alone on the American government is 33 trillion. Last I heard the other day, the credit cards were 8 trillion, 9 trillion, highest they've ever been. Now add in all the mortgages and the car payments and the bill payments and the loan payments and the boat payments and all of these bullshit payments that everybody has come up with for the last 50 years. And think about the amount of money that is in zeros and ones, okay? Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in zeros and ones. Now, everybody panics a little bit and decides they're going to go get their money out of the bank like they did in the Great Depression. And you go up to the bank and they tell you they don't physically have the money. It's not that they don't want to give it to you, but there is no physical money there for them to give you because there is only 1.5 real trillion dollars. So when people start drawing their money out, to which they have been lately, you're going to go to the bank and they are not physically going to have the money. So all you will have is that digital credit card. Is that going to work for you? Do you think when they go to the central bank digital currency, they will be able to limit your purchases and regulate your purchase? How free do you think the Second Amendment will be then? When you go to buy ammo and those Freedom Seed dispensers. Let me turn off my air conditioner, guys. It's getting chilly. That was actually a bit of a hard one to say. Getting chilly down here in Texas, my goodness. I left my air conditioners on. No debt is the best way to go about it. Unfortunately, many people can't get there. It's a lifelong endeavor, but there's nothing wrong with using other people's money. I mean, we all do it, a mortgage, a loan, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you have the ability to pay that back and not have a problem. And that's how most people have made money, is by using other people's money, but it must be done responsibly. And I see so many on TikTok and YouTube, you know, complaining about being broke and living well beyond their means. And like I said in my last video, I think America is going to have a very rude awakening. It's happening. It's going to happen drastically over the next few months. We've all heard about the layoffs that are coming. And, you know, up until this point, I think most of the layoffs have been in the tech sectors, you know, the digital stuff. But now it's going to be coming down to, you know, the everyday workers, the people that make up the middle class. Because as these dominoes fall, supply lines less and less and less, you know, people spending less and less and less. If you don't have all of this disposable income to go buy new TVs and cameras and video recorders and TVs and wheels and tires and all this, you know, crap, people aren't spending that money on it. The manufacturers aren't making it. You know, it's China. They're not shipping the stuff. You know, when there's not as much demand, the supply begins to dwindle. They're not going to manufacture it. Those dominoes fall, supply lines become less and less. That's a double-edged sword there, Drops. You know, people complain about being broke and not having a lot and having a simpler life. It's actually going to be probably far easier for those people to make it through these times coming up than these people, these multimillionaires that have multiple homes and fancy cars and butlers and staff and, you know, fly first class and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a much harder change for them. Yes, China's in trouble. I mean, China's biggest part of their economy is real estate, and I'm sure most of y'all have heard of the evergreen crisis going on over there with their real estate and these cities that they have built and things that they have built that they stand up to the Chinese reputation. It's basically all junk, and all this crap is falling apart left and right. You know, and billions and trillions of dollars in property are evaporating. Exactly, guys. I mean, a lot of us have learned out there, you know. Hey, Stuart. Being MacGyver, that's gonna probably get you further along than a lot of other things. Being able to do things, build things, make things work, fix things, repair things. There are going to be a lot of salvageable, usable items out there that are just going to have to come up with a new way of being used. Sure. The 15-minute city thing, that's exactly, what everybody's talking about over there in Hawaii. They burned down that little area and they're going to make it a new, up-to-date 15-minute city. I had some coffee going a couple of years ago, Jack. It didn't make it through the winter, and I did have it in the greenhouse, but I do want to try to grow some more coffee beans because coffee is a great staple in my preps. I would suffice to say I probably have a couple of 100 pounds put back. Oh, you don't want a Wi-Fi, fella? Yeah, Stuart, it is just in the last week here, it has, it's crazy to say that the 95-degree days are a cool down. I mean, really, when it's 115 or 120 outside, 95 has felt great these last few days. Yeah, coffee is going to be a challenge. I have found a few challenges in my greenhouse, and I don't know exactly what the cause of it is yet, but I've got several plants that really just don't like it in there. I don't know if it's the heat, and I've tried to keep it pretty open and ventilated, but growing inside of a greenhouse is definitely different than growing outside. And not all plants like it inside the greenhouse. I think I've got one of those holly plants on the farm here, Moon. I'm not sure it's a yaupon. Need a hoodie, it's in the 80s, yeah. It ain't gonna be long. I actually went out there today, Stuart, and fired up the old log splitter and commenced to working on it, getting it ready for the season coming up. Oh yeah, coffee's gonna be a good barter tool. On your third one drops, you're just gonna have to quit being so hard on them. Hyperbaric or humid atmosphere. Yeah, it's kind of like everything else, guys. Like I said, not everything grows everywhere. There's a reason why we don't grow coffee in the United States. You can make lots of different kinds of teas, Odessa. And actually, I've made some, pine needle tea, and it's not too bad. It ain't gonna have the caffeine in it, but it doesn't taste too bad. And just regular leaves off of your some of your herbs down there in the garden make great teas. Chamomile, yep. I do like my coffee. Some pine needles. Well, I've got acres and acres and acres. Yeah, dandelion is good for you. There's lots of good stuff out there to eat guys and forage on. The problem is, again, most of us are, used to convenience, and we get a large pizza that is this big around that feeds the whole family. And when you have to go walk around in the woods and gather your supper in a little basket, okay, our convenience is going to be tested, because you jump in the truck or you get the pizza place to deliver the pizza to your front door. You don't have to go outside and walk 4 miles around your property to get a little basket to eat tonight. This isn't for tomorrow and all week. This is just for tonight. Yeah, Guardsman, that's the thing. People hauling in dirt and trying to get your soil right. I mean, tomatoes don't like the same thing as potatoes, so now you're having to split your garden. You got 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of soil going on in your garden to grow different stuff. Whatever y'all are eating out there, if you're new to the foraging, please take it in moderate uh, quantities. If you go out there and eat you a big dandelion salad, you might find out that it's a good laxative as well. So be careful. It is tough, guys, and that's why I've said the whole time. A lot of people have the mentality that they're just going to wait till whatever happens is going to happen, and then they're going to run off into the country or the woods and throw their seeds out and have a little garden and live happily ever after. And that's just not how it's going to happen. I hate to burst their bubble. I actually had some volunteers come up around out in my orchard this year, drops. I assume the chickens got over into the garden or were eating scraps, because we feed them a lot of scraps, and them clucking and pooping out there around in the orchard. I've got tomatoes and peppers and squashes all growing out there around my orchard trees where I water, and they get out there and dig around in the wet dirt. We are trying to grow a little bit of everything out here, and I did lose the peppercorn plant last year. It proved rather difficult to grow. I'm going to try and get another one this year, because black pepper goes good on everything. It's a nice, good spice. So if you can get some peppercorn growing, that would be a good one. And the kiwi has given me a little problem this year. It's still alive, but it's going through a hard time. I think I probably need to retransplant it. I don't know if it's just too hot in that greenhouse for it or what. Materials. That's the thing with the MAG group, guys. I mean, in even the community around you. Your neighbor may grow great tomatoes and onions, and you can't grow them for nothing. But you grow good corn and squashes. So being able to barter with these people, trade with these people, help these people, those are the MAG groups that you need to be making right now. Guarantee it. Yeah, Texas lady, that becomes the thing, location, location, location. A lot of y'all people live in much greater areas, better areas. Uh, you know, a northern girl, she probably wouldn't make it down here in Texas at 120. But you send me to Canada at -40, I'm gonna be useless. You know, we have our areas, our fortes, our things. Every area is gonna be different. Things that work for me won't work for you, and things that work for you won't work for me. Right now is the time that you need to be finding those things out, not when shit hits the fan. I got my grapevines going this year, Majak. I have had a little bit of fungus, mold in the greenhouse. I think early on in the year, humidity was a problem. And of course, with summer coming on, the humidity problem went away. But corn has been a pretty tough one for me here. And I don't have a problem getting the corn up and getting it growing. But about the time that it starts to get the little cobs on it, it's storm season for us here, and the coons love it. So I'm pretty much probably going to have to build a corn Alcatraz to keep the coons off of it. I just got a 5-footer again yesterday, LD. It's been a heck of a year for snakes. I've probably gotten 7 or 8 this year out of the chicken pen. And the one I got in there yesterday, he was getting on some of my baby chicks that were probably 6-8 inches tall. He was trying. Yeah, Bonnie, we all got our areas that we know and we like. That's just the thing. You would have a very difficult time getting me out of Texas. Yep, watermelons, peanuts, and cotton. Yeah, the grapes are getting down into that area more and more. Texas is hot, and it's getting hotter and hotter. I will definitely tell you this year has been extremely hot and dry. Far worse than usual because I generally do not look for wintertime, and I am ready for fall and winter. It's been a pretty hard year all the way around here on the farm. I'd say we probably lost 50 turkeys, 100 chickens. I know I've lost 5 goats, and actually just the other day I went out there and I had 20 dead quail. So the heat this year has been excruciating on the farm. I just can't do the winter NG. It's when it gets 110 down here in Texas, I've got to quit and come inside. But anything below 32, I'm pretty much useless because I'm going to be building a fire somewhere. Yeah, it was a pretty tough year down there on the heat. Like I said, just day before yesterday, I walked down there and there was only 1 quail left alive in the whole cage. There were 20 dead ones. And just the evening before, they were fine. I mean, they'd made it through the heat of the day and were going into the cooler part of the evening. And when I went back down there the next morning, there were 20 dead in the cage. So sometime that night, whatever it was, I don't know if it was just the heat exhaustion or what, but everybody said the winter here in Texas is supposed to be bad. I don't know if it's just going to be wet or cold or both, but yeah, all of my quail are there in a cage that has a roof, and they are under actual shade trees out there, so they stay shady all day. I don't know what it was. I mean, they my animals all get fresh water and food, and nothing stays out in the sun. You can't do that here in Texas. So the craziest thing, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's just the kind of bird. I got 3 more cages that had quail in them that didn't die. So yeah, I generally keep pans out. We keep some pretty good sized pans out for all the animals to be able to get into the water. I keep misters going. About the only thing I can't run out here are extra fans because we're on solar and I don't have the extra power to run all that. But I mean, we keep the ground wet and pans and ponds and water around. It's you got to here in Texas. Yeah, I got a sister up there in Colorado, and they said it was 50 up there the other day. It's just one of them things that I can tell you for sure, I ain't never gotten in my truck and the temperature read 130 degrees before. And I've done that twice this year down here. Hey, NG, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. A cat 2? Hell, I thought it was a cat 4 a while ago. Yeah, we heat the farmhouse here specifically with wood. I try to heat the whole house with wood, but it can get chilly. I do have central heat over there, propane that we can turn on if it gets too cold, but I definitely try and use as much wood as I can. We burned up about 6 cords last year trying to heat the house. So I said earlier, I noticed the leaves starting to fall and the coolness coming in, so I'm getting that log splitter ready. $120 miles an hour. I figured it would come in a 3 or 4. That is pretty warm water over there. Well, I would highly recommend that you get a good one, Bonnie, but they are not cheap. Hey, Moonsprout, thanks for stopping by. Get on Craigslist and look around for a used one, Bonnie. We got a big one. It's made to heat about 3,800 square feet. But it does like the wood. It can eat a ton of it. Yeah, it's too hot, man. 130 degrees is, it'll kill you. I'll keep my eyeballs open too, Bonnie. I'm looking for a spare one myself to put in the greenhouse. The one I have in there is not quite big enough when it gets down to 0. ANGH, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah, drops. It surprised me how much we went through last year, but it's a big stove and it's a big house, so I do pile the wood on. Most of it last year we actually split up ourselves here off of the farm. We had lots of trees down. I've still got lots. I probably have 5 or 6 cords I need to split here now from trees on the farm, but our firewood guy just down the road sells it. He's back down to $150 a cord now, split, stacked, and everything. So it's kind of hard to beat his price. I'm probably going to have him deliver a few cords over here for that price. No, Majak, I don't use pellets. It's a big wood stove. I use big split oak. Yeah, installing it is going to be a whole issue too, Texas lady. They probably want as much to install the stove as what the stove costs. Be sure and get that air moist in your house. Put out some humidifiers, teapots on your wood stove. Get that steam going, because that stove dries that air out, and the drier your air is, the colder the air is. So if you can get some steam added to that air in your house, the warm, moist air is better. Yeah, hang sheets, cardboard, whatever you got to do to close off a room to stay warm. It is 1 a.m. You got to be kidding me. Is it really 1 a.m.? Oh my goodness, I sit here and talk to y'all for 3 or 4 hours. My goodness. Well, thanks, Texas lady. I know I should probably make some kind of a list of topics to go over with y'all, but I get so sidetracked and my mind is on so many different things. Oh, 100, Majak, my goodness, man. I gotta be up in like 4 hours to go back to work. Hey, Guardsman, thanks for stopping by. Only 11 out at drops. I tell you guys, I'm gonna have to get out of here. I didn't think it was 1 a.m. Wow. But I do appreciate all y'all guys coming in, stopping by and chatting. I want to get some things together and get me a list of things to discuss with y'all. I like our chats. I like bouncing ideas off of y'all and seeing y'all's ideas. Because the people group that come in these chats are much smarter, more intelligent, and way more moral than the majority of people on YouTube. Well, thanks, Odessa. We are one big group in here. Most of the homesteading preparedness channels are. Yes, it did fly by. I can't believe it's 1 o'clock. It only seems like I've only been on there about an hour. Exactly, Majak. Y'all guys, we can only deal with one day at a time. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery. Worry about getting through today. Do what you can. Use your mind. Good night, Texas lady. LD drops. Thank y'all for coming by. 54. Oh no. Brr, drops. That makes me want to go get a coat right now. It's only 78 outside and I need a hoodie. Puts a heater in her room. Yeah, exactly. AC is on with the electric blanket. Thanks for stopping by, Bonnie. I appreciate it. Majak. I like chatting with all y'all guys. Y'all stay safe out there, guys, all right? Eyes open. Pay attention. You're a Viking. I'm a Texan. We don't like the cold. All right, guys. Thank y'all for coming by. I appreciate it. We'll do this again. I'll try not make it so long in between talks. I'll try and get a list together. Y'all guys stay safe out there. Thanks for coming by.